New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Your hosts are two girls who believe that life is awesome, that laughter heals, and that it's possible to find deep spiritual insights in everyday experience.
Here come the girls. It's more than practical. Here come the girls. Way more than merely factual. If you want to know the secrets of a life, it's free. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically.
Hello, and welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. I'm Robyn.
Go ahead, Robyn. Go ahead. Say who you are.
That's who I am. I'm Robyn. I'm Robyn Rice Olmsted. And we're happy to be here with you today.
Yes, we are. Clearly, we're happy to be here with you today. I'm Dr. Natasha Wilson, who forgot to unset her hair. So I think I learned in a YouTube tutorial. And I'm in Australia. Robyn, where are you today?
I'm in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Yes.
Yeah, and your hair looked really good back, though. It looked good up.
No, it's still back. It's just it was set so that when it starts to come, I don't have to put heat in it, right?
I got it. Yeah, I got it. I'm just saying it looked nice up.
Okay, so it still looks up, though, right?
No, it looks down.
Oh,
but it looks good too. It's all good. So welcome, and do let us know how you feel about Natasha's hair.
No, don't let me know how you feel about my hair. Please don't.
Why? It could be a good thing.
No, because I think, I don't know, we'll get into it, but I told you I went on to YouTube because I try to really be mindful about how I take in media. Even though I live over here in Australia, I rarely even check the Australian news. I worry so much about my home country. And so whenever I do watch the news, it's just like I'm trying to check on what's happening back home. And so, but this day, I was just going on to get a hair tutorial, and I had just made the decision that I'm going to watch this hair tutorial. I'm going to sip my non-alcoholic beverage. And then I see all these thumbnails about a war and Iran and Jesus coming back, but we got to destroy something for Jesus. And I was like, I cannot stop drinking. I cannot stop having a glass of wine because the world is doing too many things.
It is the time where if wine is part of your program, it certainly helps, I'll tell you. And we're not endorsing any drinking or anything of any kind. We're not endorsing anything.
Okay. Literally, we're not endorsing anything. You're just hearing my experience.
Your story.
Yes.
Yeah, which is why I kind of, today's topic is really about the energetic of overwhelm and just the collective overwhelm and heartbreak and things that the world is feeling right now. I think that's really up, and I think people have expressed, their concern and asked, what do we do and how do we stay in a practice, a spiritual practice? And there's just so many questions and feelings and things going on, and it's a sensitive time. We're sensitive people, and we're responding to the times. So that's what we're going to look at today. And in a minute, we're going to do our card pull of the week. And that's where we look at what's happening in the cards and how that can guide us. And, so many times we find ourselves going, just give me a sign. So we allow the card, we allow the card to be the sign sometimes and see if that can guide us and take us somewhere. So, but before we do that, what's going on in Australia over there this week in your week?
Like nothing. Okay, not nothing. Okay, so I made this decision that I went to therapy about it. I talked to so many people about this decision, but I've made the decision to work less, to cut back my wage earning work, which is very hard for me. One, because I know that what I do, the work that I do, that is a part of my wage earning work, it's work that I would do for free if I did not have to pay bills, right? It's my calling, right? It's a part of it's not my entire purpose, but it's a big part of my purpose on planet Earth. And I feel so aligned and so blessed and so lucky. Every day I get to do it, even on the hard days. So making the decision to pull back is really hard. And I have 2 daughters, 8 and 10, who are as neurodivergent as I am. And I was so glad I made the decision. But, yesterday I get a call from the school in the middle of work. And I hear that my daughters have gotten into a fight with each other. Like they weren't like literally hitting each other. But my oldest daughter, she wants to be with her friends, and her sister wants to be apart. So she's feeling left out. And sometimes she has a really hard time regulating her emotions. So she threw a basket at her sister. And then Alexis ran after her with the basket. And I was like, yep, that's what's going on in my week. My children are throwing baskets at each other.
Well, I will say to you that sounds like, neurodivergent or not, that sounds like 8 and 10. That's the way it was in our household, except they didn't do baskets. They did like Tonka trucks and, butter knives and things. Like we were like, no, don't get that. We had to be on top of it.
Honestly, so, Robyn, if it had happened at home, I think I would have I don't know. I think it would have landed differently. But to get this phone call from the school.
Right.
Like that my children are doing this. Anyways, that's the big, besides like the news, that's the biggest part of what's going on in my life in Australia, which is which is how I handle not becoming overwhelmed by the news, to be honest.
Yeah, that makes sense. And let me tell you how we handled not having that happen at school. We put them in different schools.
Yeah, see, I don't have time for that. I gotta drive, then I get home for work.
That's what we did. I mean, they've never been in the same school together. I think once for a short period of time, but
yeah, that's not for our family. I don't even like to drive out of my suburbs, so that's not happening. So, yeah.
All right. Well, my week is just filled with moving, getting things ready at the new center. As y'all can see, I don't have a desk on the couch behind me, so my desk finally got built, which is super exciting.
Yay.
And so is the new center. It's very exciting, but very exhausting. And, someone came up to me last week and thanked me and said to me, I see what you do.
Mm.
And I was like, I tried to brush it off. I was like, oh, thanks. She's like, no, 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 no. I've been where you are. I see what you do and what other people don't see.
Mm-hmm.
And I got it. I mean, I get it. And there's so much I do that nobody ever sees or knows about,
Yeah.
just keeping Gil together and keeping, other things together. And it's like, I mean, I'm constantly like, okay, you got to write that thank you note. Okay, you got to make that call. You got to do that thing. And there are these little things, but it's a lot,
It's not a little thing. And, I'm so glad you said that, Robyn, because, when you, mentioned that kind of, tried to sort of like brush it off, move away from it. I really think it's so important for us to take in the good that people reflect back to us because of what we do and because of who we are, and that we don't shy away from it, which is, something that I myself am learning,
Yeah.
like even when I got the call from the school yesterday, the guidance counselor was like, Macy is just thriving so far this school year, right? Like as opposed to last year, because our family was in a really big transition,
Right.
As I was going through a separation from my my partner. And it had a big impact on my children and our household. And it was really affecting Macy at school. And to, to have the teacher say, well done, mom, good job, like whatever you're doing, well done, I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So let that be a lesson to all of you to take in your good, because I think that's real. It is. It's very, very, it's
Mm,
important. And sometimes, especially in times like this where we're all busy and crazy and, trying to make things work, we tend
mm,
to go, oh, yeah, 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 thanks, and just let it slip in. So,
yeah. Well, I have other fun stories from the week too, so I know we
okay.
have to.
Well, I know we'll get to hear them at some point. But right now, I think
Let's
it's
do
time for the
cards.
card pull of the week.
Yep. You got cards?
I got them. I'm shuffling them. I am on the Soulful Woman deck because that's how I felt today.
All right.
So you say hit, we'll stop and we'll see. We'll see what our sign is.
Okay. Are you
Beautiful sign, Michael?
shuffling now?
I am shuffling.
All right. So stop.
All right. Huh. Interesting. The flow of partnership. Can you see it? The flow of partnership.
Okay.
And it says, the ebb and flow of relationship takes me where I need to be next on my path. The ebb and flow of relationship takes me where I need to be next on my path. So it says, I am connected to myself and to the cosmos, even as relationship enter or leave my life. I am grateful for these gifts of connection and engagement wherever and whenever they occur. I feel at peace with the process. At times, my path takes me into relationship. At other times, I am called to gently release relationship and be on my own as I journey forward. When I feel called to be in partnership, I relax into the process, knowing that I will attract the perfect partnerships for me. I am open to the flow of life. I follow my unfolding journey with radical faith and courage, knowing that I am always connected to life, the life pulse of the universe, and that the right people come into my life at the right time.
Well, that's really nice.
So, what does that bring up for you?
I kind of feel like I don't want to talk about it because that was so nice and so pretty and so full of like hope. And it's really interesting when I said I had something like funny to talk about my week. Yeah, it's just so funny because the funny thing that I was going to talk about from my week was my friend setting up another freaking dating profile for me. And it just made me never want to be in a relationship again.
Well, there you go. There's the ebb and flow of partnership in action. Okay. Well, I understand that.
I was like, what is happening out here in this world? I'm telling you, you know what I said, even with the YouTube thing, I was like, I have to have a glass of wine because things keep happening in the world. Same thing with this, like, I don't know. The card is about partnership. So it's not just about like romantic companionship. But yeah, I just, God, I think you should talk, Robyn. I don't think I should be the one talking about this right now.
Well, we don't have to talk about it. We could just see how it shows up in the show. I mean, I think what you said is true. I think that the card speaks for itself on some level, and and just where are we partnering? We need to always remember we're in partnership. We're in partnership with ourselves. We're in partnership with spirit. We're in partnership with the divine. We're in partnership with love. And so I think we just, I think we can sit with it, because if I just take that one concept and go turn it around to go, where am I out of partnership, or where am I out of alignment, or when I'm in a situation to think, all right, I'm in partnership. How do I call on the support in that situation? So let's just be with it. Let's just leave it alone. That's the card, y'all. If you want to tell us what's going on for you around the card, we'd love to hear it. Put it in the chat. Just give us a little nugget of what you're thinking, and we'll give you some time to write that in. But in the meantime, we're going to go to a break. And when we come back, if you're feeling stretched thin or cracked open, or like your heart's carrying more than it should, and you don't know what's going on in the world, you're not alone. So come back here, and we are going to talk about what it means really to be human in a world that's asking a lot of the human heart. So come back. We're going to take a couple announcements from our sponsors, and we'll see you in a few minutes right back here on New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to all of our organizational sponsors, including the Hepperlin Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Center for Spiritual Living United Life, Sunshine Cathedral, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Universal Joy Center, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Home Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. On behalf of New Thought Media Network, thank you, and please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, come be you. Come expand your spiritual journey. Join us for Just the Talk, Sundays, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Experience Unity Kitchener and Ottawa. Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Unity of Garden Park, New Thought Philadelphia, the Sunshine Cathedral, Unity of Savannah, and the Om Center for Spiritual Living. Come unleash your spiritual potential with New Thought Media Network. New Thought Media Network proudly presents the
Science of Mind Saturday Conversations. Learn more about the Science of Mind philosophy, faith, and way of life. Join our team of experts for a weekly deep dive discussion. Come study the science of mind, chapter by chapter, and resources from the Science of Mind archives. Plan to join us every Saturday, 9 a.m. Mountain Time. Only on the New Thought Media Network.
Welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Your hosts are two girls who believe that life is awesome, that laughter heals, and that it's possible to find deep spiritual insights in everyday experience.
Here come the girls. It's more than practical. Here come the girls. Way more than merely factual. If you wanna know the secrets of a life, it's free. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically.
Hello, we are back. This
Yes.
is first. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying yes, we are. We're back.
You're watching Girls Behaving Metaphysically, and I am Robyn Bryce Olmsted.
I'm Dr. Natasha Wilson.
And today we're going to dive into a little talk about overwhelm and just what's going on in the world and how that's making us all feel, and just letting you know that overwhelm, it's not something, it's well, we're going to talk about it. Tell us, do you have a definition of what you think overwhelm is?
Yeah, for when I think about overwhelm, usually I think of it as so the mind is trying to make sense of multiple layers or multiple domains of life all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I usually find that with overwhelm, but I think the overwhelm that people are feeling right now is quite legitimate. And overwhelm tends to happen when we think that we can't compartmentalize certain realities and domains of life, and that everything needs to be looked at right now with a sense of almost immediacy. But that's not literally how we're wired to function.
Right.
And so when that happens, our nervous system gets overwhelmed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's really a place where your inner world kind of is carrying more than your system, your emotional, your energetic, your spiritual, your physical system can currently process, right? And so everything begins to blur, or whatever happens, shut down, and it's like a capacity signal.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly it. That is exactly, like, even if we were to just look at this from, like, again, just from the perspective of neurobiology, that's exactly what it is. The body is signaling that we are trying to process too many things at once.
Right.
And as a response, we're going to shut down. We're going to shut down. We're going to, like, the nervous system is like, we're going to shut this down. Otherwise, you're going to have a heart attack. Right.
So I think what's really important is to know, especially on this spiritual path, that it's not it's not a weakness. It's not a failure. It's not, something that you should be doing differently. I mean, that may be what is the result of it, but most importantly, it's not a weakness. Because I
Yeah.
think some people feel like if they're not like, oh, hey, yeah, it's all good, yeah, go God, da da da, that I mean, the feelings are real, and that's what we don't want you to spiritually bypass anything. We want you to stay present to what's happening and allow it to be the informant.
Yeah. I there's a part of me that feels sad, if someone feels that having moments of overwhelm gets equated with weakness or with somehow being more or less spiritual, right? Because when I think of new thought and the healing response that is, I think, an embedded part of new thought theology and philosophy, it is really about embracing the fullness of our humanity and understanding the potential that lives within human consciousness. And new thought is about, once we become conscious, learning how to make choices based on the world we want to live in, not through denial of the things that don't feel so good or that even feel yucky or bad, or even the things we don't want to see. We don't have, like, I don't know. I don't have that. I don't carry any version of this spiritual way of life that says I have to walk around smiling 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. And that's okay. And I can be with that. And I can even find the holiness in my sadness, the holiness in my grief. And sometimes the holiness in my overwhelm, although overwhelm, I've worked a lot on just in terms of my own nervous system, because I do understand that we can learn to engage overwhelm as a choice. And even if we haven't learned how to do that yet, it's not a sign. It's not a sign of a weakness. It's a sign of a really big heart. And what's more holy than that?
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. And I think, I think you're right on. And I just know that sometimes when people are in different stages of the journey, right, especially beginning stages of really trying to figure out their path and what this oneness thing is all about, and you're looking at other people that seem to be all good all the time, or you're looking out there and you're seeing what you want, and so sometimes you get stuck, you get confused. So I just wanted to make sure, just in case, that no one felt less than, because I think it is a really important emotion at this time or state or whatever.
This makes me want to share something that Thich Nhat Hanh would say, even in his later years of life, right? That almost, going, like, as someone whose spirituality was sharpened by the violence of the Vietnam War, because of things both from his childhood and the things he witnessed during the Vietnam War, even as he got older, he still was learning how to care for anger in him. A part of his spiritual practice was, when the anger shows up, how to coddle it almost like a baby, to welcome it, to let him know, I'm thankful that you're here because you're here to let me know something. And so if someone whose whole life, so just think about his whole life is in a monastery, he's Plum Village at the time, monastery, right? So not dealing with dropping kids off at school, not dealing with, all like managing friendships, managing relationships, managing work, managing house, all the things, right?
Right.
And that he can still name that he was struggling, or he struggles time to time with anger. I just feel like there are no quote unquote bad emotions. Emotions are things that rise up, one, to let us know what we're thinking and believing, and two, emotions, the very word itself means in motion. So there are these feelings that are rising that want to be in motion, like so they can flow through us, give us information, and then move out of us. The problem is when we start making certain emotions good and certain emotions bad, we get stuck, and those emotions get stuck in our body, and we don't get the gift that the emotion has come to deliver. So overwhelm, just to me, overwhelm and grief share a certain similarity in the fact that grief is composed of many things. It's not just one thing. Overwhelm is the brain trying to process multiple things at the same time. None of that is weakness. None of it's weakness. And if we can find a way to even find the holiness in it, then it can't be used or weaponized against us when we think about what we're dealing with in our world politically right now. The more compassion we can find for our own humanity, even that overwhelm, the more we contribute to a collective energy of kindness that's emanating from how we treat ourselves. And our overwhelm doesn't get weaponized for people who want us to be overwhelmed so that they can control us. All right, I'm coming down from the pulpit now, and I'm with my non-alcoholic thing.
Yeah, I mean that was a lot, and there's obviously there's a lot going on in the world, and not only, I mean, forget all of the things going on in the world and in the news that we all try not to watch. But I think even just in our general lifestyle of how, life has sped up with technology and all of those things and everything, there's like a whole different dependency on things and like, like I think about my husband, who is the spiritual director at a center, and he doesn't look at his text messages. I'm like, he doesn't look at his email hardly. Like, now everybody copies me on the email so that I'll tell him he has an email. But like, I'm like, especially text messages, I'm like, do you not understand the concept of, if someone's texting you, they want to hear from you then. It's not a like, call them later usually kind of thing. But he's okay with that, and I mean, but I think I'm generalizing, but I think most of us and have gotten caught in this world of like this immediacy.
Yeah.
It leads to, overwhelm of things.
Yeah, I just find even the assumption that if you text me, that means I have to get back to you immediately. I find that very, very entitled. I don't play by that rule. I'm very similar to Gil in that way, in the sense of like, sometimes if I get a text and I'm in a position that I can reply to it right away, then I will. But
I don't even mean like immediate. I mean, I know a lot of people think immediate, but I mean within an hour or so.
no,
Yeah.
no,
Well, yeah, I can't. I don't understand that.
no. I just don't think that people are just entitled to our time, and that because I mean, yes, we have to contextualize it. If something's an emergency, then that's different and we tend to it. But the problem that I find is that this particular culture, where we're all wired with so many ways to connect, that we've grown into, like, this belief has manifested that people are deserving of my immediacy, of access to me. Just no. I can not reply to a text for days.
Yeah, I can too. But you look at them, right?
It depends.
Generally, you look at them.
Yeah, I do. It really does. It depends. And I have my notifications turned off, so I don't really even know when I get a text. I have to make an effort to open my phone and then see who texts me, especially during certain hours of the day. My phone is basically in do not disturb, because for me, it's so important that I'm attending to myself as a principle, as a spiritual practice and a principle. And yeah, I need to be well. So I don't want to be, I'm not going to be getting notified. And so sometimes, yeah, when, if it's on the weekend and my phone is not in do not disturb, my notifications are still off, but I do go and look at my messages at the end of the day. And,
well, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, yeah. I get it. And we can, this is like a whole different show, because I get it. My notifications aren't on. I don't, whatever. I see them and I respond to them when I can. But I'm talking about not even looking at them. But the point of it all was the general population is bombarded by that and usually tied into it,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
So let's talk about for a minute what is the metaphysics of overwhelm, in that what is it trying to signal you? Because overwhelm is really like a pivotal moment. Right? It's trying to tell you something. It's a threshold moment. And I think that, I don't know. Again, I referred to my producer yesterday to ask him what Louise Hay had to say about something. I think, what does Louise Hay have to say about overwhelm? Because I think it signals like that, you're it could signal many things, obviously, but somehow your spirit is asking you for a new rhythm, a new, to take a breath, to stop, to, whatever it is, to change the pattern. Your nervous system is signaling some kind of a boundary or a border that you've crossed.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the metaphysics of overwhelm? Like what is it trying to tell you, so that when people start to feel it, they can really breathe into it and, ask, what are you here to show me? What are you here to tell me? What do I need to let go of, kind of question?
I think that's why I brought up the story about Thich Nhat Hanh, right? I think that's exactly why I brought it up. Because when we stop making any emotional state bad, then we can hear what it's here to let us know. So when you ask for, like, what's the metaphysics of overwhelm, I'm actually going to ask you to break that down a little bit. Like, what are you asking when you ask that question? Like, what's the metaphysics of overwhelm?
Well, I think everything shows up for a reason.
Mm.
It shows up to teach you something.
Mm-hmm.
So what is it trying to let you know? What is it trying to, what is it signaling to you? What's, there, I think it's what I said. I think it's, you're trying to find a new pattern. You're trying to find a new rhythm. There's something about it that says, slow down. You've crossed a boundary. You can't move forward in this way, in a healthy way. Thank you, Michael. And yeah, so I think because I think it's this, it's not a spirit. It's not, as I said before, it's not a personal flaw. It's not just something that shows up. It's a signal. It's a spiritual message. So
Mm-hmm.
what is it? What is it trying? What is your perception of what it's trying to say?
Yeah. So, as we continue to have this conversation, like for me, the metaphysics is deeply tied, because everything is spiritual ultimately. So even when I talk about the sort of neuro biology of overwhelm, that in and of itself is metaphysical, right? This notion that the body, the divine body, right? This body is letting us know we need to pause. We need to pause and come back to center.
Mm-hmm.
We are trying, right? Like our system is trying to process too much, and it's time to pause.
Right.
I did see something up on the screen, but I didn't read it.
Okay, I'll read it in a second. Yeah, I think it says that. It's a, for me, like it's an alarm and awareness that something in your life is too tight or too fast or too heavy or too much for who you are becoming. Sometimes because you need to let it go, because I think sometimes it also signals that you're outgrowing whoever you've been. Sometimes I think people get overwhelmed for that reason. So let's see what AI has to say. It says, a metaphysical perspective, overwhelm is rarely about having too much to do. It's almost always about a fragmentation of energy. It's the internal state of being out of time, because your consciousness is scattered across the past, the future, and multiple potential outcomes rather than being anchored in the present.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think we've said that today in several different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take that, AI. We beat you to it. Yeah. I think that, there obviously it's all true. It just depends where your overwhelm is coming from and what you're doing with it, like what your perspective of it is. And now in this world we're living in, it's the world is very loud.
Mm-hmm.
It's very loud and the news is relentless. You can't not hear it, even when you're trying not to hear it. So it's I think when we talk about it being a collective, there's there's a collective consciousness that is heavy, and people are grieving, and also stretching into new ways of being at the same time. So it's a whole new learning and a whole new way of being, which can be exciting and fun and scary and terrifying and all of those things, right? I mean,
Yeah.
but so not only are we carrying our own overwhelm, but it's a collective experience.
Yeah. And again, I use the word domain. AI use the word fragmentation, right? We're trying to attend to so many domains of life all simultaneously that we're not present with what is with what is right in front of us. And I think the problem with overwhelm is that in the world we live in now, it can be weaponized against us as a collective. And this is why it's so important that when we start to notice the overwhelm, that we know how to care for it tenderly. Like I was saying, I brought up Thich Nhat Hanh, and the way he, talked about caring for his anger with this absolute tenderness that doesn't say something like, oh, I shouldn't be feeling this way, but no, okay, I see you. You were here. You were here. What are you asking for? What is it? What is this part of me needing? What is it asking for? Sometimes that part of us is just wanting to remember that we're safe in this moment, right? Even as we witness so many people not being safe or not having access to a certain amount of safety in this world. So I guess, again, like if I had to really sit with where I land about the metaphysics of overwhelm, it would be really remembering the power of not making any emotion bad, but learning to listen to what is activating the emotion.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I put in to AI, how does the soul respond when the world moves too fast? Because that's just the way I decided to explain it at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it talks about how the soul's first response is contraction. That when the world goes too fast beyond, what we can metabolize, that the soul contracts, and that your energy pulls inward, and your intuition gets quiet so that you can hear yourself again, and your emotions rise up to signal what's out of alignment.
Mm-hmm.
And it says your body becomes the brake your mind refuses to apply.
Yep.
Yeah. And so
that's when I was saying that's what happens, right? The body shuts, the nervous system shuts the body down.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It pulls the circuit breaker.
Right. And the second thing it says is that sensitivity increases. That when life moves too fast, that the soul heightens your sensitivity, not to overwhelm you, but to get your attention. So you start to feel more, you notice more, you're affected more deeply by things. You become porous to the collective field. And the third response is resistance to the unnatural pace.
Mm-hmm.
And so when the world moves too fast, you lose motivation for things that don't matter. You feel friction or around obligations that drain you. You can't force yourself to keep up the old pace. You feel called toward rest, reflection, or stillness. And it says the speed is not sustainable for who you are becoming. And the last thing it says is a call back to presence.
Yep. Always.
Now, when the world's too fast, you may feel a longing for simplicity, a desire to be in nature, a craving for silence, a pull towards spiritual practices, a need for deeper connection instead of more stimulation. And these impulses aren't random. The soul's whispering you to return to what nourishes you. And the last thing is reorientation. And eventually the soul uses overwhelm, fatigue, or emotional intensity to reorient your life. It pushes you to reevaluate your commitments, release what no longer aligns, reclaim your boundaries, rediscover your purpose, and reconnect with your inner truth. And that's the soul's way of saying you're outgrowing the life you built at a smaller level of consciousness. So there you have it. The deeper truth about overwhelm. Yeah. So overwhelm can be your friend on some level. It can support you in listening and knowing how to maneuver those steps. And it slows you down so you don't lose yourself, and it opens you up so you can remember who you are. So
yeah, it just keeps bringing me back to Thich Nhat Hanh, right? It just keeps bringing me back to Thich Nhat Hanh.
Yeah,
like when we care for our emotional life, whether it is overwhelm or any emotion or any state of consciousness that feels less than wonderful, when we care for it with gentleness, when we listen to what it's here to share with us, as opposed to naming the emotion or the experience bad or whatever, that we get access to the jewel. And to be able to do that, to be able to hear what the jewel or what the wisdom or the lesson or whichever, whichever version of that language resonates with you, it's always about coming back home to yourself. Presence, coming back home to yourself.
Yeah. So I think that's the message for today, and I think that's why we pulled the partnership card, because it's really about you being in partnership with the divine, with yourself, with whatever it is that brings you and allows you to take this overwhelm and redirect it, let it redirect you towards a life that honors your humanity and your divinity. And that's what we're here to do.
And again, that is to me the heart of this spiritual path that we walk. I don't think that the heart of this spiritual path that we walk, that we call New Thought, is about never feeling upset or bad or whatever. It is about coming back to undeniable reality of oneness, of presence. And that is always going to be about our relationship with the divine and coming home to ourselves.
Yes. So come home to yourself and come back to us next week at the same time. And we'll be here. So we hope to see you here as well. Thank you to our producer, Michael Mangus. If you have time, watch his show tomorrow, which is on New Thought Media Network at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. And we'll see you later. Bye.
All right.
Come expand your spiritual journey. Join us for Just the Talk. Sundays, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Experience Unity Kitchener and Ottawa. Center for Spiritual Living Midtown. Center for Spiritual Living Denver. Unity of Garden Park. New Thought Philadelphia. The Sunshine Cathedral. Unity of Savannah. and the Om Center for Spiritual Living. Come unleash your spiritual potential with New Thought Media Network.